It means a lot to us that there are still people who are enjoying the new Yankee Workshop, and we want to reach out and thank you.
Norm Abram, there's nothing like the silent pride that expands upon noticing a fragment of home furnishings, a bookcase, a table, or perhaps a chair that you constructed using the grain of the wood with your own two hands. The meticulous joints and the hours of labor, it tells a story and is more than just furniture. That's what DIY is all about, and few knew this more thoroughly than Norm Abram. The quiet, skilled artisan who introduced woodworking into American culture. Rooms for many years through his cherished display the new Yankee Workshop during a certain period where the quality of handcrafted goods is making a return. Abram's legacy seems to be more still relevant, but who is the man behind the planer and behind the bench? The quiet voice behind it made even the most daunting tasks become doable. Let's embark on a career and life journey. The calm fortitude of Norm Abram's ascent, seclusion, and his subsequent activities. The cameras ceased to record when the updated in 1989 Yankee Workshop made its debut. Wasn't merely another house renovation. Demonstrate that it was a revolution. With every Norm segment provided viewers with more than merely providing building advice. He gave an experience of meditation, a master lesson in patience, talent, and craftsmanship. In his calm manner and incredibly sharp knowledge changed a generation of spectators into aspirational woodworkers, even if they have never used a picked up a chisel, and enjoyed seeing his artistry develops over the course of 20 years. Prospered, gaining a loyal following and establishing a benchmark for do-it-yourself broadcast, but when the last show broadcast in 2009, it left more than simply an impression. Vacant studio, leaving admirers to wonder what happened to the man who motivated so many. Abram started his effort to establish norms where he was in Wookett, Rhode Island, born on the 3rd of October 1949, but the specifics of his children are not given much attention. One thing is certain, his route to woodworking was almost ingrained in his father, a grain of his DNA. A talented carpenter presented Norm with the craft from a young age. Picture a little Norm is enveloped in the aroma of fresh gut pine as he observed his dad's breathing life into unprocessed timber as other children played outside on the weekends. Norm was working with his father. Websites that take in every detail. By the time he was 9 years old, he wasn't just observing him as he worked alongside his father, is learning more than just the art of carpentry, but the emphasis on discipline and heart. One of Norm's is required. One of his favorite memories is a pine wood vehicle. And his dad constructed a basic project, but one that represented a common enthusiasm and a strong connection. As Norm matured, but as I grew older, that passion simply grew stronger. His father thought he might look into further, maybe expanding horizons with schooling. Fearing the trade's hardships, Norm carried the craft in his bones to this day. Upon high school graduation he pursued Milford, Massachusetts, engineering at the University of Amherst in Massachusetts, but engineering didn't light his soul as sawdust did. Did he quickly transition to business? Administrative abilities that might be useful. I wish him luck in his future endeavors. Norm's father passed away suddenly in 1995. A significant loss, but also a time of upon thought. There was comfort in understanding those formative years had been spent creating memories as well as furniture. After college, aspirations, and a legacy. Norm spent no time in entering the actual world. He soon obtained a job with a well-known building company and knew his skill, and England earned him a quick elevation to site supervisor. Although Norm wasn't made for office work or hierarchy, he desired creativity, authority, liberty, and contentment of constructing a project of his own. In 1976, driven by aspiration and directed by he established integrated out of instinct. A general structure was incorporated. Hiring company that enabled him to realize his ideas. He constructed custom homes, improved his methods, and subtly gained a reputation for brilliance and integrity before fate knocked softly, but tenaciously while engaged in a Norm's remodeling in the late 1970s. Russ was impressed by the craftsmanship, Moshe, a trailblazing producer of television developing this, a new PBS series. Not only was Old House Moshe amazed by Norm's technical abilities, revealed a unique blend of charisma, clarity, and with humility, he asked Norm to assist with a Dorchester Victorian home restoration. The project in Massachusetts would eventually become This Old House's pilot episode, and after some hesitation, Norm took the risk. The remainder, as they say, is this old history. In 1979, House made its debut, with Bob VR as Norm Abram as its modest host, and the audiences were star-in-the-making, fascinated by more than simply the restorations but by the relatability and genuineness Norm brought. His approach wasn't ostentatious, rather, it was careful, accurate, and incredibly human. By 1989, Norm clearly needed a demonstration of both the new Yankee workshop and his own, where Norm Abram wasn't just building when he was born tables, he was establishing confidence. Complex joinery was explained to us. The beauty found in flaws and created craftsmanship seems approachable, and the influence of the show may have ended, and his life, thus what transpired following the last cut. Darling, where is Norm now? Reader is a story about a simple, peaceful getaway. Delights in a life that is still influenced by from sawdust to stardom, wood and wisdom. Norm Abram's lasting legacy. And there was a new Yankee workshop. A silent revolution is occurring in American homes that weren't constructed with hammers and nails only, but with humility in the spirit and the kind direction of a man named. As this historic home acquired in the early 1980s, it gained popularity. Not only provide users with an overview of the craft of home remodeling, rekindled a profound admiration for the workmanship in the past. It wasn't just a TV demonstrate that there was a movement. Families huddled in front of their screens to study, not to be enthralled by drama, to take in, to be motivated, and at the heart of this instructional, Norm Abram, a man who came back, required no fanfare or catchphrases. His hands were solid and his presence was serene. And every slash made his words apparent. Of timber, and each brushstroke Norm made the seemingly impossible feasible. There had a certain reassuring quality about observing Norm at work. Justifications were never hurried. Men are never even slightly agitated. Complex carpentry projects appeared attainable with his careful. He didn't merely demonstrate to the audience how, he educated them to comprehend in order to construct the rationale for each measurement. Every scene, every viewer arrived for the remodeling, but remained during the feeling of the goal of the empowerment. Norm was not to show you his abilities. He was attempting to impart to you his sincere affection, for he became a lighthouse in an era thanks to his craft. Because shortcuts frequently obscure, he reminded them that beauty is about substance, requires attention, time, and effort, and that even the largest remodeling projects begin with the establishment of the one confident step. Norm wasn't planned, but it seemed predetermined. As he appears on this historic home, displayed his powerful abilities within the parameters of a new approach to cooperative home renovation. In 1989, a chance presented itself that would give Norm something very special. In the year that Norm made his debut, Creative Control, the complete new Yankee workshop show, focused on his biggest love. This woodworking project wasn't your typical vanity project or spin-off. It was the result of decades of practical respect for the past and a fervent wish to share everything again. The new Yankee workshop, 21 seasons, evolved into more than just a TV program. Turned become a haven for enthusiasts, both professionals and dreamers. This time, Norm invited spectators to his pristinely ordered workshop, where the wood was clean, but the saws were sharp. As the air exploded with the potential for the difficulty of the projects varied, and one episode may concentrate on ambition, making an enduring shaker chair, the afterward, on creating a lavish queen and workstation, while another is working on a backyard project, a seaworthy sailboat, or even a playhouse. Norm not only constructed, but also instructed with patience and accuracy. He breaking down difficult jobs into manageable chunks, describing the significance of grain guidance, joinery finishes, and most importantly safety. His now famous first words emphasizing the importance of wearing safety eyewear and adopt safety measures were as much of the furniture is a component of the experience itself, but the new Yankee's key, the essence of the workshop, was genuinely amazing. It was not about flaunting oneself. Rather, it was about sharing. Norm frequently visited historical landmarks and museums to establish connections, connecting the dots between contemporary craftsmanship and the customs of the previous. Viewers discovered more than just how to create hope chest, but why was that piece important? Emotionally and historically, the Norm was a guardian of a dwindling art form, revitalizing methods that could have otherwise been missing and giving fresh life to classic designs in the process. He didn't simply construct furniture, he constructed bridges across generations to connect today's do-it-yourself culture to millennia of Norm's artisanship. Over the years, influence expanded well beyond the boundaries of from the workshop. His admirers weren't merely they were teachers and fellow woodworkers. Parents, engineers, retirees, students, and Norm's soothing voice was familiar to many children. Of logic in a more chaotic, his presentations provided a world that was more than guidance. They provided to give them a chance to flee, to focus and slow down in order to learn anything real in a time of transient digital noise. And each episode was for Norm another chance to spread happiness, self-assurance and inventiveness in someone observing their way of life from their garage, either their classroom or their room. But even icons need to relax. Following an incredible 21 seasons, Norm had to make the tough choice to wrap up the recently constructed Yankee workshop in 2009. It wasn't brought on by low ratings or diminishing interest. In actuality, his popularity was still persistent. Instead, it was a profoundly personal preference. Norm desired to go back to the core of his craft, building, exploring without deadlines and without the pressure to increase spending in production, spending time with his family. It was an elegant, self-directed departure that felt completely appropriate for a man who had prioritized throughout his career quality over the announcement. Spectacle of the show's finale caused a stir through the realm of woodworking. Enthusiasts were tributes that are heartbreaking but respectful flooded in from all around the world. From Ohio's amateur woodworkers to Japanese master craftsmen are everywhere. Seemed to concur that Norm Abram had evolved. He has influenced careers and lives. Weekend endeavors and developed a broad admiration for a craft all too frequently disregarded, but even in his departure, Norm never really went away. He kept on occasionally appear on this ancient house, giving his knowledge and views, his dependable guidance to younger generations of builders. He also made appearances on shows like David Letterman's The Late Show, Tonight's Oprah Entertainment and Greetings, America. Without being a celebrity but as a cherished teacher and artist who had subtly become well known, the legacy of Abrams is not only inscribed in the delicate joints of a desk made of mahogany or the elegant arches of a handcrafted gazebo. Every viewer who has the courage to, when you first pick up a chisel, it's present in the educational institution seminars that used his techniques in community centers. In the hands that played back his episodes of dads and daughters constructing together, the Norm found the fame instead of chasing it. Due to his honesty, his humility, and his unwavering commitment long after the end, to the craft today, Norm Abram continues to be a living legend. His transformation from a little local carpenter to among the most reliable sources for house remodeling television serves as evidence of what occurs when a person's passion and purpose collide. Didn't only construct furniture, he trusting community and a long-lasting admiration for the craftsmanship, and as long as individuals are willing to get their hands dirty and construct anything using their own hands, Norm's legacy will go on in silence. With pride and unwavering stability, there was a moment when the hammer's steady rhythm on wood, a saw's whisper through oak, and a master's serene, patient voice craftsman occupied living rooms all around that bearded, bespectacled man. In America for decades, Norm Abram was modest. Was not only a carpenter, he was also a teacher, mentor, and icon for many of what endurance, passion, and purpose could construct using only wood and strength of determination. But where is Norm now? Point in his modest and quiet manner. Norm took a step back and gradually faded from the public eye without a large announcement, while maintaining the same level of humility that characterized his professional life, his absence viewers posing the identical query in quiet worry over Norm's fate. Abram, before he was discovered by television, Norm had already fallen deeply for the born and up in Massachusetts craft in his early years. He was exposed to a man who traded with his father, gave him a feeling of pride in creating something on your own two hands. This affection blossomed into a life, and that existence ultimately turned into a myth. In Norm's own pursuits continued to exhibit the same morals that he ultimately